So today, I'm going to start off with a familiar line. I always start off with everything begins with. Well, today it's everything starts with self-restraint. And let's get clear about that. Self-restraint isn't about holding back. No, 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 no. That's not what it is. It's about holding yourself together. It's about the pause that changes everything. You see, we can't create a new life while reacting from an old consciousness. Pure and simple. Self-restraint is the gatekeeper of our power. You see, self-restraint, it protects our energy. When we don't practice self-restraint, we drain our power through reactivity. We leak energy into what? Into drama, into assumptions, into fear-based stories, and then emotional impulses that have nothing to do with who we want to be. Self-restraint would be the other day, a week ago almost. I was shopping for stereo speakers. And I went in and I've been investigating. And I knew I was going to buy because I knew the speakers, if they met my projection, it was everything I wanted. And they did. And I bought. And then the beautiful gentleman who was showing me the speaker says, "Now, do you want me to blow your mind?" And I said, "Of course." What else would you say? You say, as Jim Rohn would say, "Of course." And so we went into another room. And he says, "I'm going to show you some speakers and you may want to change your mind." So we played these speakers, KEF blades, and they blew my mind completely. I mean, I've never heard sound like that. And they were $35,000. You see, I could have had an emotional impulse. It would have been a stupid one, but that speaker was so much better. But I realized the speakers I had bought were doing exactly what I wanted them to do. So I didn't have to go any further. I did not have to go beyond. Do you follow what I'm saying? And so it's in that consciousness that we move forward. And so what are the benefits of self-restraint? Well, our energy starts collecting. We're not letting go of energy. We're not expending energy on things that we don't want. Our presence becomes stronger. We're fully in the moment. When we self-restrain from going too far into fear or whatever, we stay in the moment. The other thing that happens is our clarity rises. The clearer we are, man, the path lights up and we've got a clear path to go forward. And suddenly people say, "Wow, what changed in you?" I'm told that quite often. I'm told, "Lee, you're an anomaly. Don't expect people to be like you. You're too disciplined." Well, I'm going to tell you this. I've developed self-restraint to a degree. I'm not perfect, but I do things that I choose. And I choose to do them in the way I want, and I'm not attached to others. You see, the key thing is when we're in self-restraint, nothing really dramatic happens. You just stop letting unexamined impulses run your life. You become discerning. And by discerning, you look at things and say, are these serving my highest values? If they're not, you let them go. Because the things that are important to you, that's where you give your intention. And so when we talk about this idea of discerning asks certain questions. It would ask the question, is this aligned with my highest truth? That's a great question. Highest truth. You are the witness. You are observing your life and you're creating it through how you focus. And are you creating a life that's centered in love? Are you creating a life that's expansive and joy-filled? That's the key. Then you might ask the question, is this thought true or is it just familiar? Most of our thoughts are familiar. We have about 60,000 thoughts every day, and almost 99% of them are repeats of the day before. Then you could ask the next question, is this emotion asking to be acted upon or just witnessed? Many times emotions can be our guide. Sometimes just witnessing them, say, oh my God, I've got that habit, and look at the reaction I've got from that. Then you might go to the next question. Does responding right now serve my growth or my ego. So you know it serves your growth when it's about being right. Anytime you want to be right, rest assured, that's your ego. Growth is about stepping into the unknown. You know it's right for you, but you don't know if it's right because you're going into something you've never done before. And that's scary for people. You see, self-restraint is like the gatekeeper. In other words, not every thought deserves airtime. Not every impulse deserves action. Self-restraint keeps inner chaos from driving. And what a great thing. Right now, it's the holiday season coming on. Don't let the impulses take over, because if they do, you'll find it'll be an incredibly different time for you. Impulses are the ego's way of trying to satisfy something it cannot satisfy. And when we start to understand that, we can be self-restraining. We can control those impulses. You see, people often confuse self-restraint with suppression. It's not the same. Self-restraint is not shutting down. It's discernment. It's looking, seeing, does this serve or not serve? It's acting from truth, what you determine to be true, what you determine is the path, and not from impulse. You see, there's this thing I call the sacred pause, and it's how you live your life. Something happens, you pause, you notice, you choose, and when you do that, that's the moment you reclaim your power. Here's the key thing. Your life process is pause, notice, choose. Over and over again. That's a creative process if you allow it to be that way. You see, self-restraint or being self-restraining builds spiritual maturity. It's about staying awake in discomfort. It's about responding and not reacting. It's seeing through the ego stories. And rest assured, not only your ego stories, but the ego stories of everyone around you, your mom, your dad, maybe your wife, husband, your children, your grandchildren, the church, whoever. They've all got ego stories. And the question is, are you reacting to them or are you responding from your truth? And so when we look at that, the real test is, can you stay present long enough to choose who you want to be? And once you've chosen who you want to be, to act as if you were already that person. You see, self-restraint equals inner freedom. People get this confused. Freedom isn't doing whatever you want. Freedom is not being controlled by cravings. Freedom is not being controlled by cravings, emotions, or past programming. I'm free to do whatever, and my past does not influence that. I don't have to allow it. You see, in this life, we talk about living in the now. Well, every moment is a moment of choice. Every moment is sacred to your life experience because in every moment, you get to choose whether you make a new choice or go backwards or keep the same choice. If your impulses run you, you're not free. If you can restrain them, you rise. One of the things that I've learned about impulses is they're just habits. Why not consciously create habits that choose what you want instead of habits that don't choose what you want? Habits is a complete topic. Here's what self-restraint creates. It creates presence, clarity, power, emotional stability, and conscious creation. Think about that. Self-restraint gives you the presence to be fully in the moment. It gives you the clarity to respond. It gives you the power to create. It gives you emotional stability because you're the one managing the emotions. And you become a conscious creator. Is there anything better why would you want to be self-restraining? Because. So what are real life applications? In relationships, pretty simple, pause before reacting. That's the simplest thing in every relationship, pause without reacting. That'll save your relationships. It'll expand your relationships, but just by that one little application alone. In finance, restrain from emotional decisions. So many of our decisions are emotionally driven and not practically chosen. From a health, restrain self-betrayal. You say, why would I say self-betrayal? Because your body is a temple. What you put into your body, how you use your body, will determine how your body functions in the future. And why would you betray having the greatest life in the world by making bad choices? In spirituality, restrain ego-centered, ego-driven behavior and come from your heart. Know what life is and start functioning consciously, knowing living with an open heart is the great way. So I want to get into this a little bit. Let's talk about what is suppression. Suppression is simply stuffing something down because you're afraid of it, you're ashamed of it, or you don't want to feel it. It's emotional avoidance dressed as control. I'll fix this. I'll just bury it. Not a good thing. Not a good thing. How does suppression show up? You push your feelings away. You don't honor. And a lot of people become numb because they push their feelings so far away they don't have them anymore. Here's another way suppression shows up. You pretend it's not there when it's right there in your face. You deny, you tighten, you bury it. And guess what? It always comes back louder than before. And the more you suppress it, the louder and louder come back. What does suppression tell you? It says, I can't handle this. So, we understand what suppression is. What does it mean to retrain, to restrain ourselves? Restraint is allowing the feeling to be there while choosing how to act on it. It's conscious guiding behavior. You're going to have feelings in your life, good, bad, indifferent. Acknowledge them and then consciously choose how you're going to respond to them instead of reacting where almost everybody is. You hurt my feelings. Let me put this to you clearly. No one can hurt your feelings but you. You've given them power over you. You've given them dominion over you. I get so tickled with society today. Well, you can't say that. You'll hurt their feelings. So what are we teaching? That people don't have personal responsibility for their lives. Really break that down. Go down into the depths of the level and don't argue with me. Question at the depths of your level and see if it's true. So how does restraint show up? You acknowledge the emotion. You stay aware and you breathe through it. You choose your response instead of reacting. And this way, nothing gets buried. Everything is seen clearly. Restraint says, I am bigger than the impulse that you put in front of me. You see, this builds presence, maturity, and your inner power. So one of the things I want to talk to you about is a 5-second reset. A way to live your life so that you develop this restraint that you've chosen. The 5 steps are simply, first, pause. Second, breathe, a full breath. 3, fully feel whatever it is that's in front of you. And from that feeling, then notice the impulse that comes from it. Do I hide? Do I run? Do I go forward? Notice the impulse. And now choose consciously. Consciously, where do you want to go? So it's a pretty simple formula. Pause, breathe, feel, notice the impulse, and choose consciously. So this week's challenge, it's simply practice 1 sacred pause a day. Don't suppress, just restrain, and choose your higher self in each and every moment. So restraint, it's the idea that you can restrain the old self long enough for the new self to rise. Because isn't that what you're doing here? You're creating a more expansive version of yourself. So for the new one to emerge, you've got to let the old one step aside. And when you develop self-restraint, you know your path, you act on it accordingly, you become the master of your life. And when you become the master of your life becomes so fulfilling, so at ease, so peaceful, so beautiful. Chaos disappears because you know the direction you're going. And when you know the direction you're going and you go in that direction, life is good. So you get to make it so this week. Honor yourself. Give this a try and be self-restraining.